Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back.
All right, all you positive heads, welcome one and all. I am super grateful that you have joined me on this magical today. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about this concept of the energies since the eclipse. And I know we talked a little bit about this last week when I had some of my girls on, some of my colleagues and friends. And this idea has been coming up. I've been seeing it come up a lot lately, that many of us are experiencing a shift in energies. And this energy really has been a letting go, a releasing of the things that used to create concern within us, the things that we used to stress about no longer matter anymore. It's like we are seeing the things that are most important and knowing that that is what matters and everything else doesn't. We are starting to become more focused on the fact that love is the only thing that matters. We are becoming, whether we know it or not, more and more aware and letting go of these materialistic ideals that we've had in our present day programming, what we've grown up with. We're slowly releasing all of these things, all of these ideas. We're getting back to nature more. We're starting to recognize that the indigenous ways of the past, the ways that we let go of, are actually the ways that we should be bringing back. These simplistic ways of living are the ways that we all want to go towards. We want to simplify our lives. We want to rid ourselves of all the clutter. And these energies that have been present in the planets and in our astrological web have been helping us in this way because we are going through this huge transition as a planet. And it is the grandest show in the universe because we are going through this insane transition and we're all feeling it. And I wanted to read a couple things from The Law of One, which talks about this concept quite a bit. And this quote is actually from a channeling that's included in The Law of One, but not through Ra. And it says, "My friends, man on earth has become very short-sighted in appreciation of the creation. He does not understand the true meaning of the simple and beautiful life that surrounds him. He does not appreciate its generation and regeneration. He learns that the very atmosphere that he breathes is cycled through the plant life to be regenerated to support him and his fellow beings and creatures. And yet, this seems to the vast majority of those who dwell upon this planet to be an exercise in technology rather than one in theology. There is no awareness of the Creator's plan to provide for his children, to provide for their every desire, and to provide a state of perfection. Man on earth has lost the awareness that is rightfully his. And why, my friends, has he lost this awareness? He has lost this because he has focused his attention upon devices and inventions of his own. He has become hypnotized by his playthings and his ideas. He is but a child in his mind. All of this may seem very simply remedied, and man can once more return to an appreciation of reality rather than appreciation of the illusion created by his mind. All that is necessary, my friends, is that he individually avail himself to this appreciation of reality through the process of meditation. For this process stills his active conscious mind, which is continually seeking stimulus within the illusion, developed over so many centuries of time upon planet Earth. Very rapidly, then, he can return to an appreciation of the reality in the functioning of the real creation. This, my friends, is what man of earth must return to if he is to know reality. This simple thought of absolute love, a thought of total unity with all his brothers, regardless of how they might express themselves or whom they might be, for this is the original thought of your Creator. And what I find very interesting about this quote is that it was written about 40 years ago or so, and it still reigns true in some areas of society. And at the very same time, we have also come a very long way, and that is extremely encouraging. We've come a long way from this point. There has been so much awareness since the 1980s of our connection to the creation, to the Creator, and the awareness that love is all there is, and unity is all there is, and there really is no separation here. Especially in the last 2 years, more and more and more of us are becoming aware and awake to these ideas, to the idea that the stories that we've been told throughout our history are not necessarily true. That the more we open our minds, the more we look, the more we discover, we start to realize that these stories that we've been told aren't necessarily the actual real truths. And the real truth, what is that? The truth, what Gandhi said, is the truth is what lies within you. No one can tell you what is your truth but you. It is what you have learned, what you have experienced, what your perspective has become over time. And that is what your truth is. Gandhi actually said, "What is truth? A difficult question, but I have solved it for myself by saying that it is what the voice within tells you." And how many of us are practicing listening to the voice within? There's another quote in the Law of One that says, "Few there are working physically from daybreak to darkness, as you name them, upon your plane who can contemplate the Law of One in a conscious fashion." And what that means is we've become so boggled down in our 9 to 5, in our everyday, in our ways of technology, in our material ways, that we forget the simplicity. We forget what's important. And what's beautiful is we are starting to remember more and more that what is important is the simplicity, is our own moments of simplicity, our own moments to take the time to be quiet, to sit within ourselves, to learn to listen to this quiet voice, this very subtle, quiet voice within us that is always telling us the truth. This is where all of our answers are, and we always have our answers, always right in front of our faces. The truth is always right there in plain sight, right in front of our face. We just humanly decide to argue with that, to get in the way of it, decide to not see it, ignore it, whatever we may do. We humanly decide against what our inner being is telling us because we have been taught all of our lives that we can't trust ourselves, that there is some greater power that we should listen to. Yet this greater power is within all of us. It exists within each and every one of us. It is this beautiful, great power that we are born with, and there's not a single one of us who wasn't born with it. We all just need a little practice peeking through this veil, this illusion that we live in. We all have the access to this knowing within us. And another concept that I pulled from the Law of One, and this may be a quote or I may have paraphrased it, I'm not sure because I found it in my notes today. So it says, "For many years, our collective thought has been focused on this physical plane or illusion. Many have awoken to the understanding and desire to look outside of the physical illusion. A metaphorical hole in the curtain has provided an opportunity to see out through the window for the first time. Some are encouraged towards this seeking process due to some type of trauma or difficult life experience. Often, in those toughest of times, we call out for help out of desperation. Those who call always receive answers, but unfortunately, not all are able to understand them. Messages from your higher self are often received as inspirations through dreams and visions, but most remain consciously unaware of the existence of this guidance. These communications ultimately start to create a system of thought and a desire for spiritual awareness, which begins to raise your vibration. And I'm sure that many of you have experienced that and understand that each one of these traumatic experiences or difficult life experiences has prompted us to look further, to find answers, to look deeper into what the purpose is and what this all really means. And when we do that, we begin to raise our vibration, because as we seek, we start to learn. We start to learn love. We start to learn unity. We start to learn all of these concepts and remember who we are. And what is so fascinating to me is that this is a natural part of this transitional process that we are going through. It is very, very similar to a plant who, as this plant is growing, is turning towards the sunlight, reaching towards the light. And that is what we do as human beings. We vibrationally, energetically behave in the same way. We are always growing towards and looking for that light. It also says in the Law of One that we do not become inspired or filled with spirit, we become aware. When we become aware, we understand that intelligent energy is within every cell, every atom, every portion of our body. It is the core of our beingness. This awareness includes an awareness that we have already been given all that we need. It is a self-awareness that comes from within, that has always been there, waiting to be discovered. We are born from infinity, which contains all things, all densities. When we are presented with certain experiences, they act as catalysts. They provide us an opportunity to understand the power within our own consciousness. This is the ever-present energetic pull towards the realization of the self. In Dolores Cannon's book, Jesus and the Essenes, it says, "Some people have it very difficult believing that someone can hear God inside. They must have some outward expression to say, 'Yes, God has spoken to me.' To hear God, one must just open the heart and He is there. In every breath, in every moment, one must just listen." And that's all it takes, is just listening, quieting the conscious thoughts, practicing maybe a visualization technique, a method of getting yourself focused into the other side of the brain, a practice of staying focused on an image, on a visualization, is one beautiful way to shut out that conscious mind and to quiet all of the thoughts. The violet flame, people love to look at the violet flame in their mind because it is a very easy thing to focus on. No wonder why we get hypnotized when we sit at a campfire and look at it. And when you do that, if you ever notice, sitting by a campfire, taking a shower, your mind is quiet, you have let go, you are sitting in that moment, and your answers come. And that is how easy it is to be quiet and listen. We do it so naturally. We do it without even thinking about it. And when we do think about it, we overcomplicate it. And so if we just let it all go, use these beautiful eclipse, post-eclipse energies that are happening right now to let all of this go, all of these notions, expectations, ideas of what it's supposed to feel like or be. Because the knowing that comes from within is always going to be a subjective knowing. There is nothing that you're going to be able to put your finger on or define physically. It is going to be this knowing that you feel within you, that feels a certain way in your heart that you recognize. And the more we practice these things, the more we recognize it. And this is why meditation is so important. It's so important for so many reasons: to connect with ourselves, to raise our vibration, to move along with the planet at this time in this transition, to get our answers that we need every single day, to make our lives less stressful. How many times do we go on in our minds rolling around an idea that's driving us absolutely nuts? And all we need to do is get quiet and ask a question. I've had to smack myself around a little bit about this recently, and just make myself shut up and sit down, get quiet, and ask a simple question. And what's really funny to me is that I get an answer before I even ask the question. And it's so glaringly clear that when I am in meditation, I wonder to myself, I even laugh at my conscious self for questioning it at all. And then I come out of meditation, and that little devil on my shoulder likes to come back and rear its ugly head. And all I need to do is remind myself of the truth that I told myself that I know and I felt when I got quiet. It's all very, very simple. Raising our vibration, getting into this space of loving unity, getting quiet in our mind is a lot simpler than we think it is. I think that's going to be it for me today, everyone. I'm going to leave you with this song from Geometry called Frequency Shift. Until next time, I love you all.
Frequency.